What would you say your trademark is, if you have one?
Well, I guess the look I'm best known for is blue steel.
What's that look like? It's impressive.
Hi, I'm Mary Allison, and I'm the costume designer for our production of Hansel and Gretel.
And I'm Caroline Galvin, and I'm the costume director for our production.
Working on this project has been really swell. We've had a lot of ups and downs, but my favorite thing was probably coming together, Caroline and I, for our research and our styles for our design of our costumes, in that my original design for the witches of this show's first costume as a sort of wicked nature-esque kind of witch was very feminine and had a lot of flowers, and then Caroline brought the idea to have it more feral and to, instead of have so many flowers and leaves, to have more wolf-esque, so we added in a wolf pelt to our design, and it was just very good collaboration between the two of us.
Mary Allison's inspiration for that was mainly the nature aspects of the scene, whereas I took my inspiration from the witch doctors of, that time era, and, giving her a roughness and edge. For the second costume for the witch, we chose to dress her in white because it was very hard to keep clean, which showed status that she was, a part of the elite. And for her cloak, we made it purple because purple was a hard dye to find, and that showed that she was wealthy.
For the budget of the costume designing, it was very interesting working on a budget for 20 plus characters. I mean, there's 20 of just the lesser characters themselves, and then the three primaries and the two secondaries of the mother and father, and the lesser characters of the gingerbread man and gingerbread girl, which our director brought us the interesting concept of having the gingerbread boy be more of a gingerbread man, kind of an older-esque type of servant, and the girl actually being a gingerbread girl who was a little younger than our Gretel in the show. For the research for my costume designs on this project, I looked into 13th century German peasants, and for that I looked into a lot of the medieval art of the time and seeing the type of clothing and lifestyle that these peasants lived, and that's how I came up with the concept of the long kind of surcoats and the peasant style dress shirts and the belted waist with very rustic and natural colors that would have been made from burlap or some sort of rough material. To try to keep it very realistic.
Yeah, and whenever it came to our choice for the color palette for this production, we went with some very natural, rustic colors for the peasants, and then transitioned to very bright, whimsical colors that were very fairy tale-like, and there was a huge contrast in that. That we really wanted to focus on, what is reality and what is exaggerated and fairy tale-like.
I'm Rachel James, and I'm the scene designer.
I'm Nick Roliardo, and I'm the technical director. So we're here talking about Hansel and Gretel and some of the technical issues we ran into with designing the scene. This is our model for the woodcutter's cottage. We had some real issues when it came to cost of budgeting this out. It cost us, roughly 50 grand to build one house and one set. So trying to build multiple sets for the witch's hut, interior, exterior, town squares, forest traveling, really ran into some issues with expenses. So we decided to kind of double up on some of these. For the woodcutter's cottage here, we have our set, our house. As far as props go, we'll have well, benches, or a bench, some indication of what goes on here, and possibly some trees in the background. We decided economy was going to be the best idea in terms of how to use our scenery. So we can use the same fencing, the same well, and switch out the backdrop in terms of town square instead of pulling it and just pull out the house. And suddenly it's a different scene without having to build, an entire new town, spend another $100,000. The witch's hut was a little trickier. We ran into the issue of, like I said, showing the interior and exterior. We needed a way to not build two houses for that. So we decided to put it on a pivot and make it a hollow shell with opening doors. Front, you can see, you walk up on the house, you have this very natured, wooded house. It's all built of nature. And then the next scene, you know, when they're in there and they're getting ready to go in the house, dips out, whole house turns and rotates, doors open up, and suddenly we're looking at the interior of the witch's house. It's things like this that allowed us to maximize our funds, as little as they are, for this project. Other issues we ran into were we wanted portals. We wanted something to frame the entire stage of the show. Well, that wound up being a little outside of our budget range. After figuring out how much it would cost to build and have labor expenses, it ran somewhere up to the realm of $48,000.